الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
It is Thursday, the first day of Jamadu Thani, 1445, and the 14th day of December 2023. I want to welcome you to this Alhidaayah show on Salam TV, a program that runs every week. Thursdays 3 to 4 every Thursday. So in this program, we usually focus on the moral system of Islam, and we have been able to cover a number of aspects, regarding this moral system of Islam. For those who have missed, a number of series that we have covered before, I just want to, to advise you that you go to our YouTube channels and be able to catch up with all that information that you have been able to miss, so that you can catch up with where we are. So in the previous programs, we have seen a number of aspects, and today we are at yet another aspect. We have run a number of series, and this should be the third, series regarding this kind of aspect. I'm your host, Menya Ayub Kibedi, in the studio, and with me to discuss this kind of topic which I'm about to introduce to you is my brother, senior brother, Alhaji Sinan Siraji Mbulambagu, the hospital administrator at Chibuni Muslim Hospital. Allow me to invite him to say salam, then I'll be able to introduce to you proper what we are going to cover, inshallah ta'ala, this evening.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome you, our dear viewers, to our program once again.
Barakallahu fikum. Yes, in the studio we are two, and we will be taking you through a number of things. But just to give you a clue, we have been covering the aspect of trust, call it Aman. We have run, this is the third program where we have looking at this concept called Aman, and we have been able to cover a number of things. But because we usually have our viewers, some you're watching for the very first time, and it is imperative that we make a recap of what we have tried to cover. At least you get a glimpse of what we have been able to cover before we can get to what we want to cover this evening. So Brother Sinan, we want to talk about this issue of trust, call it Amana. And for my first time viewer for this program, just to usher him in or usher her in this program, when we talk about the concept of Amana in or trust in Islam, what are we really talking about?
Naam, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir al-amr wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawl. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity once again to share with you a few things regarding our deen. And on this particular one, this is, I think, the third day or third week, if you may call it, when we are looking at Al-Amana. When we are digging that origin of that, I think it is verse 72 of Surah Ahzab, that is chapter 33 of the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us how in the beginning, when he presented Al-Amana, the trust, to the heavens, the earth and the mountains, and then they refused and they feared, but man took it over. When Allah says, Inna aradna amanata ala samawati wal ardu wal jibal fa abayna an yahmilnaha wa ashfaqna minha wa hamalaha al insan innahu kana zaluman jahula. And we said the amana he was referring to is the amana of responsibility, the amana of choice, being able to decide on what you want to do, that you will always choose to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entirely. Because for the mountains, the earth, and then the heavens, the way Allah created them, they are like, the angels, in such a way that they don't have the free will to say today we shall disobey. The earth provides for us the water, the vegetation, the food for us to feed, and that's what the earth has been doing since time immemorial. Makes the sun to rise up and then set, and the mountains are holding the earth firm, the heavens with their orbits, the sun moves, and so on and so forth. But for us, there is that free will. You may choose to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but sometimes when he says innahu kana dhaluman jahula, that we are inclined to lower desires, weaknesses that may throw us into zina, that may throw us into theft, that may throw us into breaking the trust, that may throw us into selling what does not belong to us. You get what I'm trying to say? So now trust is that aspect of you being dependable, where people can count on you, when you speak, they will know you are speaking the truth. When they make an appointment with you, they know you're going to make it to that appointment. When they trust you with something, you will not break the trust. And that trust, like we give an example like of a baby that he gives to the father or the mother, that when you throw the baby into air, this baby will practically enjoy it and smile at you, despite the fact that you've thrown him into the air. Why is he smiling? Because he has the trust that you will get hold of him. You will not let him fall down. So this is what actually it means. Just imagine that when people trust us, are we keeping those trusts? When Allah trusted us with the amana, with the responsibility to make this world a better place to live in, are we doing that? Because the angels complained to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he told them,
I'm going to create man.
Yes, he said, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. The angels said, I'm going to put a vicegerent on this earth, a deputy. The angels were like, Ya Allah, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَا يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ. You're going to put the human who is going to make evil, to cause havoc. وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ.
Shed blood.
You see what is happening in Gaza. You see what is happening in many battle spots around the world. Right. Spilling blood. You understand? But of course Allah, in his absolute wisdom, he told them that inni alam ma la ta'lamun. Now of course Allah has honored us, has given us karama, but among the things has given us is responsibility. So, and because we are followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, before he was a messenger, they used to call him Sadiq al-Amin, the truthful one, and the one who is trustworthy. And maybe capping up that in understand the aspect of trust, that people trust us with their secrets, people trust us with their families, people trust us with their wealth, people trust us with their lives. If you're a doctor, the patient has trusted you with their life. What are you going to do? How are you going to keep that trust? And that's why finally in Al-Anfal, Surah Al-Anfal, I think verse 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la takhunu Allah wa rasul wa takhunu amanatikum wa antum ta'lamun. O you who believe. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that whenever you hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, it's better is trying to pick up your attention. Give your attention in, because Allah has a message for you. And he says, La takhunu Allah wa rasul. Do not betray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor betray the messenger. And he says, Wa takhunu amanatikum. Nor should you betray your trusts. Wa antum ta'lamun. Yet when you know the consequences of betraying those trusts. So trust is the opposite of trickery. Trust is that aspect of you being, people can depend on you, people can trust on you, people can keep whatever they have with you, and they are very confident they will find whatever they gave you when you have kept that amana. And likewise, our lives are part and parcel of amana, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. Like we ended on the amana of the body. Our eyes is amana, our intelligence is amana, our strength, our energy, the beautiful, my dear sisters, in there. It is amana given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything, the family, the wealth, all that is what? Amana. How we utilize it. How we utilize it in the best way is to utilize it without going beyond the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set up for us.
Barakallah fikum. With that kind of preamble, I think now people, at least for those who have not been, they are on board. For even if for somebody who is viewing for the very first time, you can be able now to follow. And last week when we ended our program, of course we had looked at a number of aspects, and we ended at amana, I trust regarding our bodies. And you know, we went into the examples of you know, how the Prophet you know, used it to kind of execute this kind of amana. And we ended at a point when we were looking at, you know, making our bodies fit so that we don't throw ourselves into self-destruction. Now, that aside, you know, today we want to look at you know, amana, you know, the children being amana. And now we want really, how does the children become an item of amana before we discuss, you know, anything further? Because if we are seeing this as an aspect of amana, we want to, you know, to put it very clearly, because people who are mature enough, many of them have children. Those who are still young, they also aspire to grow, you know, older, and they get children. So it means a very important aspect, and we want to, you know, dig further. How does it become an aspect of a man?
Now, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe before that, you know, currently we are in the holidays. And this is one, actually it is the longest holidays of all the holidays that we have in the year.
2 months.
People have their children with them at home. Probably others have already sent them to their grandmothers. Others, they don't have time for them. They leave them for the maids to stay with them. Others, they leave them with the neighbors. And also in very weird circumstances, there are those because of the need to go out and work. Others, they leave them alone to themselves. Others are locked into the houses. But when you look at children, the Islamic perspective, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ash-Shura, I think 49 to 50, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his power. He says, Lillahi mulku samawati wal ard, yakhluqu ma yasha. He said, the dominion of the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah. The control of the earth and the heavens, the in-chargeship of the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It says, yakhluqu ma yasha. He creates what he wants. Then he starts and says, yahabu liman yasha'u inatha wa yahabu liman yasha'u dhukur aw yuzawwijuhum dhukurana wa inatha. Now, in that, he's telling us that after telling us his ranks, that he's the one with the dominion over the earth and the heavens, he has the control over the earth and the heavens, he says he creates whatever he wishes. But after that creation, he says, yahabu liman yasha'u inatha. He grants whomever he wills female children. Now, yahabu comes from the word hiba. Our teachers in Arabic will tell us that hiba means a gift which somebody gives you unexpectedly. You didn't expect it. You understand? Somebody gives you. It says, yahabu liman yasha'u inatha. He gives grants to whomever he wishes children who are females. Wa yahabu liman yasha'u dhukur. And those whom he wishes, he gives them male children. And then says, aw yuzawwijuhum dhukurana wa inatha. For those whom he wishes, he mixes for them both sexes. You have daughters, you have sons. And then it says, wa yaj'al man yasha'u aqima. And whoever he wishes, he will make them barren. Now, when you want to understand that, you go from the beginning. When he says, Lillahi mulku samawati wal ard, the dominion of the heavens and the earth is within Allah's hands. And now, in this, he says, whomever else makes them what? Barren. Says, Innahu alimun qadir. He knows and actually is the one who is over all things what? Able. So basically, it becomes a trust because it is a gift given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. when Allah gives you, it doesn't mean that He has given everybody. There are those who have only girls, there are those who have only boys, there are those who are barren. And those who are barren, even can make them, go out of Islam, go into witchcraft, looking for out for what? For children. So they become a man that once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a child, it means that is a form of responsibility. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from you certain minimum standards that you are going to invest into this child. And most importantly, helping out in the socialization process to teach this child who is his creator, who are their creator, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to grow up as a person who on the element of ubudiyya, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also being good people that you are going to churn out and introduce into society. And it becomes it becomes trust, because there are a lot of facets that maybe when the time allows, we may be in position to go into details.
Okay, barakallahu fikum. I think as we are going for a short commercial break, I just want to make a hint that for you to appreciate that it is from what I've picked from your explanation, to appreciate that it is a gift, it is an amana.
Yes.
They tell us that you can appreciate something by looking at its opposite.
Yes.
Look at somebody who has the children, and look at somebody put yourself in the shoes of somebody who does not have the children, the kind of hustle they go through, at least trying even to conceive, and if somebody gets a miscarriage, but feels comfortable.
Yes.
So it is something that we should look at from that kind of perspective. With that, we shall go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about something else, inshallah, building from what we have just said, inshallah.
Yes, Salam TV.
Explore, enjoy and dance to the latest content, beats and kawozi from Uganda and beyond. Simply go to your Play Store or App Store right now, find Afro Mobile, download it straight to your phone and get started. Is it TV you want? Simply open the app, click on TV, select the channel you want and watch live. Are you busy right now? Then check out On Demand or enjoy in your free time. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
Oh, you can touch this. Hey, but you can test it. Ooh, but you can test it. Everybody grab a bottle and sip some. It's Mirinda time, flavors unmatched, tongue tingling, thirst quenching and bombastic. Oh, sweeter than sweet, bolder than bold, flavors explode, making you go oh, you can test it.
There's no flavor like Mirinda, now in a fresh new look with the same great taste. Enjoy the tongue-tingling flavor of Mirinda Fruity, Orange, Green Apple, and Pineapple. Mirinda.
Meet Stone Atwine, the co-founder of Eversend, a startup that is building financial technology from Uganda to the world. From currency exchange to business banking, Stone and his team are doing it all. Stone embodies the grit and the commitment to take a startup from nothing to something. Stone, keep building. You are unstoppable. MTN, the Unstoppable Network, celebrates you. Download the Eversend app or visit eversend.com, and together, let's support Ugandans like Stone who are driving our country's unstoppable progress.
I'm one of the scientists now doing research on plastic technology recycling, where we can be able to produce other products from plastic waste. For example, we are trying to develop a plastic tile with sand plastic tile, that it is unbreakable, it can be shifted from one roof to another. So this is a project we are working on. It's our initiative as Kazire Group of trying to reduce waste from the environment. Brothers and sisters, tasso butonde for a better Uganda.
This message is brought to you by National Environment Management Authority, Kampala Capital City Authority, Vivo Energy, Airco, Pepsi, Stanbic Bank and NBS TV. Uganda, a land bursting with culture and creativity, introduces an innovation for our times. Next Wowzy, a fusion of Next Media, Uganda's largest media network, and Wowzy, a leading influencer marketing platform. It's more than just a platform. It's a movement that bridges ambitious brands with vibrant content creators. Download the app today. Connect, create, influence.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Once again, I want to welcome you back to this Alhidaayah show, the Thursday edition, and an edition that looks mostly at the moral system of Islam. When we went for a commercial break, we were talking about this aspect of trust, and we were explaining how our children become, an aspect of being a trust to us. And my guest was, explaining this explicitly from Surah Shura, and he made an effort, to bring it to the very attention of everybody who is viewing, and now we can better understand that indeed children are a trust to us. Now, having seen that, inshallah, now given that we are in a holiday where we have our children at 2 months plus, some people, as the guest said, some people have tried to shun away the responsibility by sending the children to their uncles, their grandies and the like. This is how we are trying to maneuver, but we want to go into the depth of how we can maintain this trust that has been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How well can we have this trust maintained, and perhaps if we do, we shall have a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my guest, I want to bring you to answer this question, and by the time we have the program ended, perhaps we could be having a better picture of how we can handle this kind of subject.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Like we said, you rightly mentioned it, that if you want to understand how lucky you are that Allah has given you something good, you have to look at the opposite of somebody who does not have it. So number one, actually appreciating it, number one, is going through the right channels, even to get them. Now, as Muslims, we don't just go around about our lives the way we wish. We have an elaborate system which is comprehensive to cover each and everything. That even getting children, we go through marriage, the legal framework. That, one, actually in Islam, you start abusing the rights when you talk about human rights or kids' rights, even national and international. You begin abusing your child's rights right from the way you chose the spouse.
Get their mother.
Yes, if you're a man, how did you choose their mother? If you're a lady, how did you choose their father? Now, when you get them through marriage, that you have fulfilled that first obligation of being a person that that yourself, your life is a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're doing it the halal way. And immediately the child is born, we usher them in. Of course, there are quite a number of things, naming them in a very names that are really worth it. Not like this generation, well, especially my dear sisters, the mothers of this generation, the millennials, they care too much about the way the names sounds, and they care less about the meanings of such names, and really
meaning and history behind
exactly, actually meaning and and history behind it. But of course, we know from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have quite a number of examples. When say, like, for the males, the best would be Abdullah, the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then those with Allah's attributes, then the names of prophets, then the names that have good meanings or that have an attached beautiful history on them. And the ladies, we know about the 4 most elevated ladies in Islam. The likes of Khadija, the likes of Maryam, the likes of Fatima, and the likes of Asiya. And then you can add on to others because they had their own. So naming them, doing for them aqiqah. Recently I was in a dars and one of our sheikhs taught us something which I had taken for granted, that actually this aqiqah means the ransom for your child. It means like it is the natural vaccination for your child. And he said that the aqiqah is not only incumbent upon the father, but anybody else. The mother can do it, the grandfather can do it, the grandmother can do it. Because he even gave the example that for Hassan and Hussein, the children of Fatima bint Muhammad, it was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who made aqiqah for them. So it means this is also, now when you do this, you are fulfilling your amana. When the children begin to speak, you begin nurturing them in the way of understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They begin to understand how to say Bismillah when they are eating, how to say the dua when they are going to sleep, how to protect themselves with the azkar of a Muslim. You are training them. When they take something which does not belong to them, you even say it deliberately. A Muslim does not take what does not belong to them. You get what I'm trying to say. You tell them a Muslim does not sleep without ablution as they grow up. Now, when you are teaching them these good manners, because you are looking at the moral conduct of what? Of Islam, the moral system or morals in Islam, is that you are teaching them these good behaviors according to the tenets, according to the teachings of what? Of Islam. And when you do that, you are actually fulfilling your amana. You are actually taking care of your trust. You've been trusted with these children. You are making them to be who they are. Not the situation. Look at the opposite. There is a lot, especially in child neglect. People give birth to children and then neglect them. People play around with the marriages and they allow small issues to break their marriages. And usually, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, all of us, that at times it is because of our egos, either the ego from the man or the ego from the lady. Something small splits them and they forget they have amana, they have trust of the what? Of the children who are third parties. By the way, they may not know much about your quarrels, but can you really be in there for them?
And actually, any kind of breaking of marriage,
exactly,
them that suffers most.
They're the first victims. So, but then when you really understand that, that's why you hear people say, no, I can't divorce simply because I have to be in there for my children. My wife has done something bad to me, it's unbearable, but let me bear it such that my children grow up when they have a mother and a father in the what? In the home. So in terms of the education, in terms of first of the responsibility, the amana we have as parents is to teach them about their deen. To teach them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To teach them who feeds us, who gives us the food we eat, who gives us the clothes that we put on, who sustains us, and then they know it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the way they relate, because the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that, you know, in the meaning of the hadith, that every child that is born on fitrah. That is on the Islamic disposition, natural disposition, which is what? Islam. But it's the socialization process, the people who are around them who make them to be either Jews, Christians, or, you know, fire worshippers. So in psychology, that's what they call the socialization process. How do they grow seeing others doing? When they see you praying, even a 2-year-old, actually 1-year-old, you'll see them making sujood because they're seeing a mother making what? Sujood. When they see the rest of the family children, they kneel down at the greeting elders. He will do. I have a 1-year-old boy. It's called the Imam. Just young as he is, like 1.5. When he sees the sisters, the brothers coming to greet him, he will do exactly the same. So it means this is socialization.
Even when he cannot be able to speak.
He cannot speak, definitely. At that age, he cannot speak. But he will make some funny noises to show you that he's communicating. Now, because this is the environment, that is what? That is in there. So, amana means, other than teaching them, taking care of them. You know, in economics, we used to study about the basic needs. And then commerce, economics, and so on. The likes of food. The likes of shelter. What else?
Clothing.
You know.
Medical.
Yes. Now, really, when Allah gives children to you, it means it's your responsibility. It's a man that you should work around the clock to ensure, number one, they go to school. Number two, they feed. Number three, you clothe them. Number four, when they are sick, you can provide for them the medical cover that they need to grow up as healthy and responsible citizens. Now, this is especially for people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the means. Of course, you know about people who are big in the country, but they tell you the school fees for his child that he has fathered with a certain lady, he has to take it to the court because it was after suing him, you know, for child neglect, that they have started paying for it. That is throwing away responsibility. Now, here the courts may force you, but you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you will have a case to answer in front of him if you neglect them. So it is a man, and it's not only protecting them from hellfire, but also general in terms of their welfare, because they're on earth because of you. And how on earth will you grow up as an old man and reach a level when you are demanding children to be dutiful to you when you did not play your responsibility? You did not fulfill your amana unto them when they were still young. Yes.
Well, thank you so much with that kind of insight.
Yeah.
I think the list can go on and
yeah,
on.
You can finish it. Yes.
There are a number of things that we should do, you know, to keep our children as a trust.
No.
Just to dig deeper about this concept of nurturing, because nurturing starts from right away from when you have the child, when she or he has been born, and it goes until when maybe you relinquish this person into another kind of life. You know, there are quite a number of aspects to do with nurturing.
Yes.
Whose responsibility should it be in terms of because there are some that are more special to the mother, some are to the father, but there are those that are shared. Now, I mean, on the perspective of men, many times they are like, we are too busy, we are looking for the money and the like. I may not have this time to be in for my children. But now, the ladies who are, you know, quote in quote, that usually they should be ideal at home, taking care of these children. What is so basic that these our ladies should be, you know, inculcating at a very tender age, so that when this child begins to grow, they are at least they have the basics.
You see, it all zeroes down to time. All of us are culprits that we've not had enough time with our children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and give us the ability to spend more and more time with them. Because what I mean by time is that in psychology they say that, you know, children, okay, they listen with their eyes. Children don't listen with their ears. They listen with their eyes. So whatever, however many things you'll tell them, you'll rebuke them by word of mouth, many of them will not actually listen to you until they see you doing exactly what you are telling them to do. One time we were in a program, and then you see it's like you made a same way that I said exactly that children listen with their eyes. So number one, so amana means we must be very good role models. And it is a responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, because the person on whom every child will want to be like, they say, when I grow up, I want to be like my mom. When I grow up, I want to be like my dad. You get what I'm trying to say. Now, what type of example are you giving to these children? And how it is attached to the time we give them is that they can only be able to observe you so much when you also have enough time at their disposal. Of course, we are in turbulent times where you have to work day and night to provide for them. But we are saying, okay, go ahead, look for the halal means to fend for your family. But every other opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you, I mean, try to be with them. walk with him one day, and then go with him at your place of work, or when you are going to visit some relatives. As you are moving, whether you're in a taxi, whether you're in a car, there are certain things you talk about. There are certain things they will ask you. While even the way you interact with your friends, they will be watching. I told you, they listen with their eyes in terms of the way they grow up. And you will see them doing exactly they see you doing. So here, you know, you don't want to put yourself in telling, say, you're a very strict parent, but when you do exactly the opposite of what you tell the children what to do. Because even the Quran reprimands us against that. Enjoying people to do good, but for you do evil.
Otherwise.
You understand? Because it says such people are people devoid of understanding. Atamruna an-nasa bil birri wa tansawna anfusakum wa antum tatluna al-kitaba afala taqilun. You enjoin people to do good, and then you forget your own selves. Yet you are the one who reads the scripture. Allah says, don't you have brains? Don't you have understanding? Don't you reason? So one time, which means nurturing, when they see you as a good what? A good example. Showing them to friends and what? And family. And showing them that you are really proud of them, that you can introduce them to others. And when you spend time with them, that's when you'll see their mistakes and you have the capacity to correct them. Mistakes in terms of what they utter, mistakes in terms of their actions. There are children who may be aggressive when they are rough when it comes to their fellows. There are those who are too soft that everything they cry, they want everything somebody to do for them. It helps you say, no, you need to be a man. You need to man up. Men do like this. How can you fail to do such a thing? And also give them an opportunity in terms of nurturing your amana. You give them the opportunity to make mistakes, because we learn from mistakes. When they fail, they will learn how to do better. But now the problem we have is that we have reduced the entire responsibility into just looking for money and paying for school fees. We even don't care what happens in the schools. And remember, schools are collection centers. We have been crying and talking about the vice of homosexuality in the homes, in societies, but also in schools. And then you blame school A, school B for nurturing this vice. But then schools are collection centers. Now, where you send your child, you may find a bad child. How do you talk to your children? Do you take them to school yourself? Even when it is a boarding school. Make sure you have that at least minimum. Like you take your child to school and have a word with them as they start school. When it is visitation, create some time at least, because it is a single day, probably 2 days in a term. Stay with them, ask them about their fears. Let them ask you about their experiences. Let them tell them what are the dangers of doing ABCD. Others are entering adolescence. Are you aware that some parents who cannot even talk to their children about the dangers of a girl starting her periods? Or a boy going into puberty? What does it mean if they messed around? All this is part and parcel of our amana. Such that at the end of the day, a child will grow up with confidence, with a belief in the parents that they did their part, and they will aspire to be like their parents or even being better. But how will you make your child to be proud of you when they know you take what does not belong to you? You abuse others. You tell lies when they are actually listening.
Exactly.
You get what I'm trying? You lie on phone. Or even you lie to them that you're going to do for them something, and then you do the exact opposite.
You send them to the gate, tell him I'm not
around. And because for them they're innocent, they will tell Brother Ayub that, Dad has said he's not around. Because, for them they are innocent. Exactly. So in general, the children are amana. That number one, we have that trust that Allah gave us to teach them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teach them good behavior, take care of them, of their needs, whether it is food, whether it is education, whether it is health, whether it is giving them a shelter which is going to protect them in environments that they are going to grow up as responsible people, because you are going to make a contribution that you are going to introduce to society. One day I will not be there, you will not be there. Our children will be there. But will they be people who will make society a proud society, a truthful society, a trustworthy society, a society where you don't fear leaving your watch with Brother Sinan, that it will get lost. And then they will say, I don't know where it went, as if it has legs. So it means this is something really we have to do deliberately, while we are also having the amana of praying for them all the time, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects them from shaitan, Allah protects them from all bad vices, and makes them good citizens who are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who will be beneficial to humanity, will be beneficial to society.
Just as we wind up this program, in the few minutes that we are remaining with, I just wanted to kind of throw more light on the issue of education.
Yes.
Because it is something right now, it is a big necessity that our children have to go to school, and most of the time is spent with teachers at school. So that means, by implication, you should mind much about where you take your child.
Yes.
Just in a minute, or just throw more light about really.
No, basically, for us, we do things deliberately in Islam. We don't do things accidentally. We are like our generations. You have many schools at different levels, depending. You find your level. They say you find your what? Your level, that have a dual curricula. Number one, they can teach children about the secular studies, and they can teach children about their deen. But even within them, there are schools which are well known for character modeling. Choose out. There are those for the extremely low income earners, there are those who are in the middle, then there are those in the upper echelon. You know where you fall, but at least all of them have that format. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us on the way, don't take a child where they're not going to tell them to pray, where they're not going to tell them to dress decently, where they are going to learn instead a bad behavior. And then also with child education, you must participate. I must participate in the education of my children, such that there is that triangle, or where you have the child, you have the teacher, and the parent. When they call you, go in there. When they call you to look at the results, be in position to look at the results, and also ask questions. And also let the children set targets when you participate. It's not only giving in their money, and then also saying as long as it is a school and you end there. So school which has both religion and then secular, and then also emphasizes on character building. Lastly, parents, as a responsibility, as an amana, we must participate in the education of our child, in the work that they give them, in the holiday package, in looking at their results when you go for the visitation day, such that they know that you're a stakeholder who is active.
Barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullah khair. We are ending this program at this moment, but before we leave, usually I want always to leave with something that is, that should tickle us. So I want to leave one question, one or two. Is this kind of child that you have nurtured, is he the kind of person, if he's a boy, is he the kind of person, if you had a girl, that you would be pleased to marry her to this kind of boy? Two, if this was if you have nurtured a boy or a girl, would you be pleased as a mother or somebody, if this was not your own child, would you be pleased to get married to him or her? So if you can ably answer that question and say, yes, the person I've brought up, if I were the one to marry this person, then I would be contented, because I would feel I've done my best. This should be the person that I should live with for the end of my life. If you are not contented with that, then
some work to do.
Perhaps you have not done enough and you should do more. With that, we come to the end of this program, inshallah ta'ala. Until next time, same station, same time. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Eno Ye Salam TV. Adhan